You're absolutely right. All of the bad behaviors we have, the things we call bad behaviors, the self-destructive or self-sabotaging behaviors, were put into place by necessity. You weren't a bad person. You weren't flawed. And they were put into place before you had any ability to choose otherwise. The nervous system simply took over. You were threatened. There was nothing you could do about it. The system took over and said, I'm going to handle it. Thank you very much. I'm taking over. And it does. And it does whatever it needs to do to follow the one mandate that it has, and that is to survive. And so when people talk about the habits and stuff they've got, they tend to beat themselves up because we look at it psychologically, like, oh, I did that again. No, you didn't. You didn't do it at all. That's not your choice. Nobody chooses that. And consciously, we're not choosing that. Right? So what's really going on is the system has been trained to react in that way. It's been trained to do it. It doesn't know how else to do it. It resists doing anything else. And this mechanism by which it becomes so ingrained in the nervous system is the same mechanism by which we learn to talk, by which we learn to ride a bike, tie our shoes. It's the same mechanism that beats our heart and grows our hair. It's that level of response. There's no conscious choice in it whatsoever. You have to understand, you are not choosing this. You have been trained to react that way. And for me, that takes all the shame out of it. It takes the guilt out of it. It takes the you bad failure person out of it, because it isn't. It was, in fact, exactly the way the system was designed to do. It functioned perfectly. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, which is keep you safe to get to adulthood, where you could get to the point where you were conscious enough that you could go back and you could retrain it. And that's really what this is all about. And to me, that is like, it's just stunning as this began to dawn on me. And that's why people will go to a retreat or something. They'll get high as a kite. They feel great. It's flowing. They feel powerful. The moment they step back into their regular life, they're right back in the same shape again. And they go, what did I do wrong? I got to take another course. I got to learn something. It's like, no, your system is simply reacting now to the environment. You were in a perfectly safe environment, so there were no triggers. So you could have the insights, you could have the great feeling of freedom and relief, but now you're back home where all the triggers are. And so at that point, this is where the practice becomes your life. The moment you get that it is a trigger, that it's not you, that you're not broken, that your nervous system is simply being triggered to act the way it was intended, you immediately get power.
I can feel that glimpse of freedom. I can feel that in my body as you're talking.
Yes. And you can't, I've never seen anybody immediately begin to actually exercise the power and make a switch happen instantaneously. But it's like the moment you realize that's what happens, a little gap opens up between the trigger and the response. And as you just keep observing it and allowing it to be there, you actually stop resisting it and stop fighting it. Instead, start moving towards it with compassion and curiosity. That gap begins to get wider.
Now, can you say a little bit about the emotional pain that might accompany some of that?
Oh,
because detaching, it feels like such a pull to retaliate sometimes.
Yes. It's instinctive.
Yeah.
And in fact, oftentimes in the beginning, you will react, and about 15 minutes or a half hour later, you'll remember, oh, that's right, it's a reaction, because that's how powerful it is. I mean, if somebody takes a swing at you, you don't think about it, right? If you step out in the street and out of the corner of your eye you catch a bus coming, you're back on the sidewalk before you ever realize what happened. I mean, it's the safety mechanism, and it's there to make sure that you're not sitting there standing in front of the bus deliberating whether you should get out of the way or not. Right? It just takes over and says, "You're out of here." That's the level of reaction. Now, Another thing that I'm kind of different in is that I don't try to teach that this is all easy and flowers and roses and a piece of cake. It isn't. To change that training takes courage, it takes discipline, and for the most part, except in very rarely, it takes a coach, somebody you have some contact with who can help you through it, support groups and the like, because all your tendency is to think, this must be wrong. I feel so terrible. This can't be the right way. I must be doing it wrong. But in fact, as you begin to allow this stuff to come up, as you really begin to regard your inner world with compassion rather than with contempt or rather with resistance or saying it's something I got to get rid of. Instead go, this is me, this is what's going on, I need to go more deeply into it. Stuff's going to come up. You know, sometimes they're not very pleasant pictures that come up. You know, defense mechanisms, memories, the traumas that made it happen in the first place. You know, working with people with another reason I use EFT is because it brings these traumatic experiences out in a very controlled fashion. It's not overwhelming to the system. It's extremely gentle, but they are going to come. You know. If there's been some originating event that caused a big part of you to be lost, it's almost certain that that event is going to be remembered. It's going to come up, and that's when you need the help of somebody. You need an energy healing like EFT, what you guys do with Relationship Vision. You need that to assist you in remembering at those times that, oh yeah, this is the path. This is the way to healing. And because we've all been trained that when it gets a little rough, I reach for my drug of choice, be it a relationship, be it shopping, be it TV, be it a drug, be it alcohol, whatever it is. It's because we've all been conditioned to think that if I'm in pain, it's bad. No, it isn't. There's a way I can explain it that makes it a little bit easier to understand. The way it happens in the nervous system is that the nervous system reaches a point of stability, right? It may be a dysfunctional stability, right? It may not be, your life may not be working, but it's stable. And anything that's stable is hard to move off balance, right? The whole point is the nervous system has got everything, all the triggers, all the responses, everything to a point where it can maintain itself, right? Now, what we're doing with this work is we're asking itself to destabilize itself so that it can reorganize on a higher, more functional level. Right? That means discomfort because it's going to resist doing it in the first place. And when it does do that, you're in an unstable state, which means it's going to be confusing. There's going to be self-doubt. You're going to be wondering what the hell's going on. It's going to feel very uncomfortable. But if you stay with it, the system naturally knows how to adjust itself to accommodate the new environment. And it will reorganize around a different center. And that different center will be a higher level of freedom and also a higher level of safety. That at transition time is where we all get confused. And you know, I teach this stuff till I'm blue in the face. This is what happens. Once you know it's happening, you're willing to walk through it. Go, oh, okay, this is happening. This is supposed to happen. Okay, I'll keep going. I'll keep going. And then the system, because it is incredibly intelligent, goes, oh, okay, we need to reorganize. And everything starts to just begin to fall into place. And this is where something like EFT, Qigong, yoga, physical exercise, all assist the system in doing that. Meditation as well, of course. Physical activity is really very, very, very helpful in that because it will be uncomfortable.
I like that.
Your whole life, your perceptions, everything is going to change. I love to tell this story. When I got divorced, I was like in my middle 30s. I was around 36, 37. I had 2 teenage sons. I had children very well. It wasn't a very, very, very unhappy marriage, a very unhappy relationship. I was not. I mean, it was all. it was me, give, right? And I got nothing back, ignore my own needs. And this went on, for a while. I finally got to the point through enough work on myself where I did start acknowledging my needs. This had to end. I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life. It ended, and I got it. Now, it was really amazing because I didn't know how to live at all. I remember going to the shopping mall because I needed some clothes, and I didn't know what I liked. There was a new person here that I didn't know. And for about a year, the only clothes I ever bought are ones that I saw on mannequins because that was the only way I had any idea what it might look like. I mean, I couldn't pick something. So, I go to the mannequin, I go, yeah, okay, I'll take that. And it took me a while to become reacquainted with myself because I'd given it away. I'd given away so much, thinking that was the right thing to do. And of course, I had kids. I had to be responsible. I had to do it. So it was very confusing. And so I deeply understand what people in dysfunctional relationships are going through. I've done it myself. There's probably not a stupid thing out there that I haven't done.
Right. So traversing that world of dysfunction and our own behavior in particular to healthy, more nourishing ways of honoring all of us, the whole of us. So in winding up the conversation, if we were to leave people with something that they could use today in just allowing it, just allowing ourselves to be a little bit more of who that really is, aside from the programming, or recognizing in full view of the programming, what would you leave us with?
Everything you want, all the things you want, everything, and I'm not kidding, everything is already there. It was built into you from the get-go. You don't have access to it because of its training, but you've never lost it. You can't lose it. It's as much a part of you as your arms, your hair. I mean, it is a part of you. Everything you're seeking outside of yourself, the only reason you're seeking outside of yourself is because you've been taught to believe that it's out there and that you don't have it. You do have it. And if that can even begin to sink in a little bit, this whole journey that we're going on of going inside becomes a journey of discovery now, a journey of finding somebody who is so lovable that you want to be with them. And that's where the courage comes to endure the discomfort, because you're not just fixing things, you're actually discovering who you are. And that's like coming home. It's not like you're putting on a new set of clothes to find a new costume, a new version of yourself that's going to be more functional. You're going to find the version of you that's really you, and it's going to feel more than comfortable. It's going to feel like home. And at that point, it becomes easy to exclude people from our life who are not honoring them. Even though we like them, even love them, that we just, you need to honor me. I have to be honored because I honor myself. It very naturally draws people into you who do honor it and separates people that don't. It really is a beautiful two-edged sword which both draws to you what you need and also takes away what you don't. People love to talk about the law of attraction, but there is also the law of expansion and the law of separation. They're operating as well. It's not just things coming in your life, it's what you don't need passing out of your life because it isn't you.
Yeah.
That's the message I say over and over again. It's not you. And everything you are looking for, I mean everything you ever wanted to be is already there waiting for you.
Wow. That's powerful.